We are live. What's up, beasties? It's Triple B, your friendly neighborhood bearded book beast. And we're back for another episode of Beast Friends Forever with my good friend, Rob Mortell. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this for a while now.
Heck yeah, me too. So we will let people trickle in. Um, but anyway, I usually have a book to hold up, but I cannot find it. I was reading it upstairs earlier, and it's not down in the Beast Cave, so I need to figure out where it's at. But why don't you introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about your book, what it's about, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So here it is.
Yeah.
Tales and Treasure. Um, I'm Rob Mortell, the author. It's my first book, self-published. Um, it's a uh, it's a classic fantasy adventure novel about a bard and a treasure hunter who form an unlikely partnership to search for a lost crown. It's more focuses more on the bard Vadis, who is searching the world for redemption and stories to tell. Bards in this world are very prevalent and have a major influence in society. So he's looking to regain his standing in the Bards Guild and just trying to overcome a few things.
Very cool, very cool. And I have started to read it, and I really like it. I love the humor that's sprinkled in, and I do. So it's how do you say his name? Because I think when I say it out loud, I say it wrong.
Vadis. That's how. Yeah, Vadis.
Vadis. Okay, that's pretty straightforward then, because that's kind of how it's spelled. So that makes sense. I think that's how I read it. But then when I said it out loud, I said like Batiste or something.
Oh, it's all yeah.
Vadis. All right. But I love I don't know. I love his point of view, but I love the other characters too, and them together. I think is a lot of fun. So I think you're onto something really cool. So, what made you decide to do the whole bard thing? Because that's not something you see a lot. Where one of the main POVs is a bard.
Yeah. So I really like bards in traditional fantasy, and like D&D and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
TV shows and movies. And I like to write stories about characters who are often side characters in your standard novels.
Mm-hmm.
So you see bards a lot as your side characters, your comic relief, or just another little piece of the puzzle. But I wanted to have a bard as the protagonist, moving the story along from their point of view, kind of seeing the world as a collection of stories rather than events that happen to him. So he's I thought it would just provide a unique perspective that you don't see a lot of
Mm-hmm.
in fantasy. So that's that. I mean, that was the motivation there.
Very cool. We got Tim here. Tim, how's it going? Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. We got some other people in here, but haven't commented yet. But there are some more people here, so thank you for coming in too. Appreciate it. So I usually like to start off. Kind of tell me about your journey into writing. Like, did you always write? Did you know you wanted to write a book? When did you finally decide to really go after it for real? And how did all that process go for you?
Yeah. I mean, probably like a lot of people, I've been writing for most of my life in some way, shape, or form or another. I got a degree in journalism in college. Wanted to do sports writing. That just it never really panned out. I didn't start taking up serious fiction writing until about 6 or 7 years ago. I started working on Tales and Treasure just about 6 years ago now.
Okay.
It took a little over 3.5, 4 years to write, and a lot of editing and
Oh
a
yeah.
year of getting it ready to self-publish and querying and all that good stuff. But yeah, no, I've always liked telling stories, and been a huge fantasy fan since my dad took me to see Lord of the Rings in theaters when I was
Nice.
10. So that kind of ignited the passion there.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just kind of wanted to create my own little world. That's always been the dream. So every story that I've written so far, even I've got some short stories on my newsletter blog posts that are set in the same world.
Mhm.
And we'll explore more in other novels in the future. So everything's kind of set in the same world of Emre, and
Nice.
we'll
That's
be
cool.
there for a while.
Awesome. So is this book, are you planning like a trilogy for it or a series, or are you gonna just kind of hop around and do different stories and books in the same world?
No, so Tales and Treasure is part of a planned trilogy. I'm hoping to have the next one out next year. That's an ambitious. I'm not done with the first draft yet.
Right.
But hopefully I can stay on pace and get it released sometime late next year. That one's called Bards and Bargains.
Ooh,
And
that's
then
cool.
we'll have a third piece that comes out after that. In the meantime, I'm working on a couple shorter standalone novels that are just like offshoots of different characters throughout the world. Um, Kind of work on those when I get some time, and then they become like serials on my Substack page. So um, yeah, no, we're gonna be here for a while, and I'm excited. It's the novel. We gotta there's it can stand alone on itself, but
Mm,
it definitely leads into it'll leave you wanting a little bit more, which is kind of what I wanted. And yeah, so there'll definitely be a sequel for those folks who've read it and are wanting a little bit more.
cool. Awesome. That is what we like to hear. So reading wise, you talked about how Lord of the Rings, watching that with your dad was a big inspiration to getting you into fantasy and stuff. Any books that you read back in the day that really kickstarted your love of the fantasy genre?
Well, like a lot of us, Harry Potter for sure. I mean, just a lot of your standards that I kind
Mhm.
of, I read. I don't know. I've read Lord of the Rings about once a year for the last
Yes.
10 or 15 years. And that was the first one. When I was in middle school, I liked Aragon a lot. Those books were big for me.
Oh
Those
yeah.
were just a nice introduction to fantasy. So I read those ones a ton. And then we kind of graduated a little bit to the Wheel of Time and all your other classics. As I came into later years in college and stuff, I found Patrick Rothfuss, and I really like the King Killer Chronicles. Probably my favorite series right
Oh
now.
wow. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I love to. I'll read as much as I can. I'm a slow reader, but well, not knocking down, not breaking any records, but I try to get through a few
Yeah.
series a year.
That's great. What was the last thing you read? The most recent thing?
The most recent book I read, I just finished. What did I just finish? Um,
I get it, man. You got kids. You're in the thick of it. It's hard to remember anything.
no, yeah, I mean, it must not have been that great because that's not coming right back to me. The one I
Right.
remember the most that I finished Legends and Lattes a month or so
Oh,
ago,
nice.
couple of months ago, and that was a really
Mhm.
refreshing piece of
Yeah. I thought so
fantasy
too.
that I haven't
Yeah.
seen in a while.
Yeah.
So that one was really cool.
Mhm.
That was probably my favorite book that I've read this year.
Nice.
Um, I had been trying to read. I've been slowly reading Hunger of the Gods for a while now. I mean, it's really good. It's
Mhm.
just I'm a slow reader and I got
Yep.
little kids and it takes
Yeah.
time to get
No,
through it.
that does. Yep.
But yeah, I that's where we're at.
That's awesome, man. You are a very refined fantasy reader. It sounds like you've hit all the big ones and you're still going strong even with kids and writing and everything else. So that's awesome, dude. That's
Yeah,
really
I'm
great.
trying to. I try to make my way through most of the, you know, most of the big classic stuff,
Mhm.
Game of Thrones and
Oh yeah.
Wizard of Earthsea and all. I mean, I try to get through. You gotta kind of lay your foundation as a fantasy author, knowing
Right. Yeah.
all that stuff.
I agree. Yep. And Tim says he needs to tackle Gwen. I know. Same thing here. I just am starting Shadow of the Gods. I haven't read any of his other stuff. Have you read any of his other stuff, Rob? His
I no, that was my this is my first
that was your
this was
first
my
one?
first
Yeah.
book of his.
Me
Yeah,
too.
no, it's
Me too.
good. He's a good
Oh
writer.
yeah.
I enjoyed it.
There's just so much stuff out there. It's
Yeah, no, I mean,
hard to
yeah,
get through it
it's
all, you know.
no chance.
I know, exactly. So I really love the cover. Tell me a little bit about how that process went. Like, how did it go getting the cover, um, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, so I tried to in my day job, I'm a marketing graphic designer. So I tried to do one myself for a while and
Mhm.
just was never really happy with the results.
Mhm.
So then I, worked with a few people on Fiverr, and then I found a girl who helped me out there, Nain Art. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And she was great to work with, and we did a little bit of back and forth, altered some of the imagery, but ultimately I hired her through Fiverr, and
Nice.
it worked out well.
That's awesome. That's a great find through Fiverr. Like to get a cover that good. That's awesome, man. Did
Yeah,
she do
no,
the typography and everything too, or did you do that part?
no, I did all this formatting and stuff myself,
Yeah.
and there was definitely a learning curve there.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it took a while to get it right, but I think the final product is pretty good.
Oh yeah, it looks great, man. Looks awesome. Very cool. So, were there any other shows or movies or video games, anything like that, that kind of inspired anything in your book, or just that you like to do in the little bit of free time that you have?
Um, a lot of the land in Emre, at least where the story takes place, is kind of inspired by Skyrim.
Oh,
Just
nice.
the way the layout of it a
Mhm.
little bit. I mean,
Yeah, I can
there's
see
a
that. Yeah.
few Easter eggs in there too, but a lot of the topography is kind of inspired by that because
Okay.
I mean I devoured that. That's my one of my favorite games of all time.
Nice. That was an awesome
Um,
game.
yeah, I mean other movies and TV shows for sure. I mean Lord of the or Game of Thrones, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Um, until you know until everybody else jumped off the ship, but
Yeah.
I was a big Star Wars fan growing up, so
Nice. Me
just
too.
in Indiana, so like Han Solo and
Oh
Indiana
yeah.
Jones,
Yes.
those guys inspired Vidmar a lot.
Mhm.
Just that character that he
Oh
is,
yeah.
because he's a rough and tough
Yep.
kind of
Yep.
guy.
I wondered with
Sure.
the treasure hunter side, like I wondered about Indiana Jones.
Yeah. So that was kind of there. That's kind of who he was kind of modeled after. But yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. Um, so you said grew up a Star Wars fan. What do you think of all the Star Wars stuff lately? Have you watched any of it?
I watched the latest. I watched the newest trilogy. I've watched The Mandalorian.
Yeah, me too.
Um, I haven't watched Andor or any of that. I mean, I'd like to. I just,
Yeah,
kids don't got time.
I know.
I tried to get my 7-year-old into Clone Wars, and
Oh
that
yeah.
worked well for a couple days.
Hmm.
But we haven't got it back up yet.
Oh
Other,
man.
Christmas specials have taken place.
Oh yes, all the
Other
Christmas
Clone
things now they want to
Wars.
watch. Yep. Now, do your kids watch the same stuff over and over again still, or do they at least switch it up? Oh yeah. Say because
No,
your
no,
kids
we're
are
watching.
little, like you're still stuck in that. They find something they like, that's what you're watching.
Yeah. I got
Oh
Bluey on repeat in here.
yes, Bluey. Oh gosh, man. Are your kids starting to talk in a British accent from that?
Not yet. Not yet.
Or Australian accent, I guess.
Australian, yeah.
Yeah.
They
Do
were
you
wondering why it was never snows where Bluey was the other day.
yeah,
I'm like, they're in Australia. It's not gonna. I mean,
right.
I
It's
guess
not
there's some parts, but not where they're
yeah,
at.
right, exactly. Oh man. Do you remember back when Peppa Pig first got big and there was all that hoopla about people were complaining because their kids were starting to talk in British accents?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
No,
oh man.
my middle kid went through a little Peppa Pig phase
Oh yeah.
when where he just was watching Nickelodeon in the mornings, and that was always on like
Yep.
right when he got up.
Hmm.
So he was in there for a little bit. But yeah, yeah.
It happens. What do you do? They grow out of it, right? He doesn't still talk British, right?
Yeah, I mean, he struggles to speak with an American accent. So
Right. You don't have to worry about that. Huh?
yeah, if he starts speaking formal British English, I'll be very impressed.
Right. That'll be all right. Oh man. Um, so what do you have you talked about how you have the stories that are set in the same world, you have the trilogy planned. Do you have anything planned outside of that world, or you just for the next foreseeable future you're focused on that world and expanding it and stuff like that?
I have I have some stuff like some contemporary fiction
Hmm. Oh
that
nice.
I wrote, but I wasn't really. I like the fantasy stuff more. I mean,
Yeah.
the contemporary fiction piece. I mean, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
It was about like a guy. So it was kind of prevalent to today. So it's like Ebenezer Scrooge, like a year later. Like you're telling
Ooh.
me he doesn't backslide, right?
Yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, so that was the premise behind that one. I
Oh,
mean, I
that's
got like
very
halfway through
interesting.
it, and I just
Okay.
went back to the fantasy stuff
Yeah.
because it's just more
I mean, you got to
interesting.
enjoy it, right? You got to have fun writing it as much as people have reading it, because you don't want to be hate writing, right?
Right. I mean, that was a little darker too, so I wasn't. It was
Okay.
just like you kind of, yeah. I had to go back to
Yeah.
get some
That might
magic and
that might be one you
dragons.
got to do just a little bit here and there,
Yeah.
and then go back to the fun stuff. But that does sound like a really cool idea. I would be into that. That sounds interesting to me. That's pretty cool. Um, so are you a when you write, are you a plotter or a pantser? Do you plot everything out, make outlines, or you just kind of roll with it, or do you do a combo of both?
I really want to be a plotter, but I can't. I just
Yeah.
all my creative energy, like if I do outline, all my creative energy goes into the outline, and then when it comes time to put the words on the paper, I've kind of
Yeah.
lost it.
Yeah.
So I'll like set a goal for a chapter. Like I know this needs to happen. Just
Right.
one
Yeah.
little sentence. This needs to happen
Hmm.
here, or so I'll set up some beats a little bit. Like
Yeah.
I know how the trilogy ends, and I know like the big middle that'll be kind of like the climax of book two. Um, but other than that, it's just kind of flying by the seat of my pants and just making it work.
Hey, that's awesome, man. That's how I am too when I write, and I feel like I feel like it's can be more fun that way because it's almost like you're reading it as you write it, because you don't know
Mhm.
what's going to happen for sure. And sometimes you don't write yourself into a corner, or you have the ability to change, a character's fate or make a character more important or all that kind of stuff. Did you have any of that happen when you wrote the first book? Did you have something like, oh, this is going to happen? And then you're like, oh, actually, now I think this should happen instead. Did you have some things change along the way?
Yeah, so I'm fortunate enough to be a part of a really solid writing group, and a few of the beta readers I had sent it out to. I mean, just some of the ending and beginning didn't really work well. I needed to the arcs Vadis's arc specifically wasn't really well defined.
Okay.
So the beginning of the book was was vastly different.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The ending of the book was very different. Um, and I mean, having them to kind of bounce ideas off of was extremely helpful. That one, I did the same kind of planning. Like I would vaguely outline each chapter before wrote it, and there were definitely there's some scenes that were hard to cut, but like they pointed out that they just I mean they don't work narratively. Like they're cool scenes, and then they just didn't work.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you settled on what you settled on because the beginning was awesome. that like sucked me in right away. Like just that whole, I mean, I guess it's in the beginning, so it's not really spoiling anything, but just him sitting there having just seen his muse kick the dust, and then he's got to go on and figure out what to do next. Like I love that whole opening. So I think well done, because that was really good.
Yeah, thank you. I had a prologue in there
Okay.
prior, and I mean I like the prologue, and it gets magic into the story faster
Cool.
than how it is now. Like
the
magic in Tales and Treasure doesn't really show up until Act 3.
Mm-hmm.
So it would helped get, like, it maybe it would help
people that like
attract
that
some more
fantasy.
conventional fantasy fans right away.
Right. Yeah.
But I think narratively, the opening on Bodice's point of view there kind of sets up his arc much better.
Okay. Very cool. Shoot, when I was gonna ask you something, then I wanted to say I really love the opening, and I forgot what I was gonna ask. Oh, your writing group. So how did you connect with your writing group? That's really cool that you have that.
I don't really remember. It's been a while now. I don't really remember how it started. We're on a Discord.
Okay.
And there's been a solid handful of us that have been on there for 5 or 6 years now. Almost maybe 5. I think there was a post on Reddit or something that I found. Like before that, I had tried to be a part of the Reddit writing communities, and I just never really had a lot of help that way. I mean, some of it, there's some good stuff there, but it was never very, I mean, there's a lot of extra critical criticism in the critiquing, but yeah, no, fortunately we stumbled upon a group of really like-minded sci-fi and fantasy authors. I mean, most of the people in right there are sci-fi. I think my buddy Ryan was going to do your show, Ryan Patrick. You guys had to reschedule. But so he's in there, and a few other indie authors and a couple others. It's a great group. They're very helpful.
Very cool. Yeah, Ryan's an awesome dude. We haven't been able to figure it out when it could work again, because he's such a busy guy too with kids and his job. And he is a smart dude. He does a lot of crazy stuff.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Speaking of Ryan Skeffington is in here. What's up, Ryan? Thanks for being here. Appreciate it, man. I know you got the sweet beard going, man. We're looking good up in here.
Well, I mean, the last YouTube show I have a mustache one week out of the year. I did a YouTube interview on the Halloween week.
Oh, nice.
And 1 week a year I wear a mustache, mostly just to make my wife a little mad. It's like, I'm just gonna be a character with a mustache this year. 99% of the time I got a beard, so the only appearance of me anywhere on the internet is me with a mustache. So I had to even it back out.
Yes. So that was just on Halloween? Just this Halloween you had a mustache?
Yeah, just Halloween. Yeah.
That beard grew back pretty nice, and like
I cannot not have a beard. I'll have a 5 o'clock shadow by noon.
You got to shave 3 times a day to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. I'm the same way. But if I do shave it off, like, oh man, my kids are scared. You probably experienced that.
Yeah. Yep.
Kids are like, who are you? It looks so different.
Yep.
Oh man. I'm a teacher. In my first year of teaching, I did it was actually during COVID, and I taught second graders virtually. So we would it was just like a big Zoom call pretty much. But I remember the night before, I was like trimming my beard, and all of a sudden one of my kids like just ran in and like busted the door open, like they were chasing each other or something, and it like startled me, and I was like ugh. So then I just like shaved it all off, and then the next morning I jump on the call with the kids, and like they all come in, and I like see it, their little square, and they all of a sudden look up, and they're like who the heck is this guy? This isn't our teacher. Right. So yeah, I look so different without one. I can't handle it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know how that goes.
Yep. Oh man. So what about music? I know a lot of people like to listen to music while they write. Do you listen to music? And if you do, does it have to be instrumental? Because I feel like if I'm listening to something with words, it like messes with my mind when I'm trying to write. But some people can do it.
I can't. I do listen to instrumental music while I
Mhm.
write, like
Yep.
lo-fi beats, most of the time. Um, but yeah, yeah, I'll usually get a little bit of something, but it's always instrumental.
Yep.
I can't
Same.
write with words. I
Oh
can't.
yeah.
Well, if I'm reading, I can't even have instrumental music. If
Oh
I'm
yeah.
reading, it needs to be like completely silent.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So do you do a lot of most of your reading physically, like on ebook? Do you ever do audio? What's your preferred reading experience?
I prefer to read a regular book. I
Mhm.
prefer to, but I do most of my reading on my Kindle in
Yep.
bed at night.
Same.
And then I get through a lot of. I got like a 45-minute commute to work, so it's like
Oh,
I get a lot of audiobooks into.
nice. Yep. Yep. I do that too with long drives and or cutting the grass or something. But I don't know how like I have a hard time sitting down if I'm not doing anything. Like I can't do audio. Like I don't know if I'm just sitting at home and I gotta have like the book in my hand. I get too distracted. I miss stuff. I
Oh
gotta
yeah,
listen to it. Yeah. But some
I'll
people
put an
can,
audiobook on when I'm walking the dog
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. Like if
But
I'm
yeah,
washing dishes or like doing laundry, folding laundry, I'll listen to audiobook and that's fine. But if I'm not busy, I don't know, I can't focus on it. I just start thinking of other things or going to grab something and like, yeah.
yep.
But I do prefer the old physical copy. Now, hardcover or paperback?
Paperback. Usually, I like paperbacks. I mean, that's
Me
what
too.
most of my books are.
And then trade paperback or mass market. Probably the
I mean, it doesn't really. I don't really have a preference
okay.
there. Yeah, no, I don't know.
Oh man, have you had a nice floppy trade paperback that
I
just like has that nice flap where you hold it and it doesn't start shutting back on itself?
I will say that 99% of the paperbacks I have are mass market. So no, I
Okay.
have not.
You gotta have one of those. Then you'll be like, oh man, where has this been my whole life?
I'll,
Although
I'll
mass markets, I kind of love like the older classic ones. I do love mass market for those. I don't know, like the original artwork and like all my Wheel of Time books are all just mass market
yeah.
paperbacks. I just love those for that kind of stuff for sure. Oh, Ryan asked a good question. Do you read? I know we've talked about some traditionally published stuff. Have you read much indie? Probably maybe from your writers group.
I've been trying to read a lot more indie stuff. And I'm getting there. I haven't read anything yet. That's one of my goals for 2025 is to just get a list of some of the indie stuff that I like, the indie writers that I've connected
Oh
with,
yeah,
and read some more of their stuff. I have a shelf of indies that
nice.
I try to collect. But I mean, most of the indies that I've read now are from my writing group.
Yep, yep. That's cool, man. Well, it's a slippery slope because there's already so many traditionally published to read, and then you get into the indie stuff, and there's so much good indie. It's like, oh man, now I've got double the books that I want to read. It's
Yeah,
never ending.
yeah. I'm struggling to get through, some of these critically acclaimed novels that I know I need to read,
Right.
but
Yeah.
and then there's these cool, little indie ones that come out. I'm
Oh,
like, oh man, I want to read that too. Yeah, not enough time. And then
I know.
then you don't have time to write, and we're
Hmm.
behind there. It's just slippery slope.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and I agree. Ryan talked about Ryan, the other Ryan we're talking about, how Martian Incident is great. I agree. It is.
It is
It's
great.
good. It is good.
That's an
Um,
indie I have read.
yeah, yeah, it was good. Um, and he is totally destroyed Tim's TBR.
That's
I
good.
know. It is. It's. Don't put a cap on the TBR. Just keep adding.
That's the
Um,
problem. My whole bookshelf is the TBR.
I know. I know. I have a another book too where it had said that they were gonna separate their shelves into what they have read versus what they haven't. And I'm
Mm.
like, oh gosh, I don't want to do that because my have read's probably pretty small. it probably won't even fill one of my shelves. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Books are it's just so therapeutic to just buy a book. I don't know why. If I'm out somewhere and I see a book I want or see something on Amazon, it's just when you get it, it just feels so good.
Right. Yeah. Well, my wife drives me to Target. Most of my time is spent just looking at the books. So,
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
same.
yeah, it's just something about, something about a local bookstore, like a local
Oh yeah,
bookstore is like my favorite places in the
me
world.
too.
So
Me
that's
too.
just, yeah.
Do you have some good ones by you? I don't have
We got a couple
tons.
good ones. We got a couple
That's
good
good.
ones here.
That's good.
Yeah.
Very. Are they the kind that do where you can like trade in books too, or is it just all new stuff?
We used to have one where you could trade in books, but they unfortunately went out of business during
Ah,
COVID.
shoot. Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. That happened to a lot of them.
yeah, but we got a couple ones that are hanging around. They'll do a lot of good stuff. This Read Between the Lines place in Woodstock is really cool.
Nice.
They
Okay,
do a lot of stuff.
that's a cool name for a book place.
It
I
is,
like
yeah.
it. Very cool. Um, let's see. So, do you think I forgot to ask this when we were talking about the cover? Do you think you're going to use that same cover artist for the other books to keep them the same, or do you think you'll switch things up?
I certainly will approach her again to see if we
Mhm.
can kind of come up with something similar. At least keep so you can keep kind of like the fonts the same, and kind of see some cohesion there. I haven't produced a paperback or not a paperback, a hardcover yet, so I might do some new
Oh
cover art
yeah,
for that.
that's a good idea.
Um, and in like early 2025, and do like a hardcover and kind of reformat the inside a little bit.
Right. Hmm.
So we'll see. And then if we like where that goes, but yeah, I'll definitely reach out and see about getting something like that going.
Very cool. That's awesome. What's the map behind you? I gotta know.
The map is
On the
Middle
wall.
Earth.
I thought it was. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't wrong. I'm like, I think that's Middle Earth, but very cool. I like it. It looks. Is it just away from the wall a little bit, or is it a super thick map?
No,
I
it's like
can't.
a canvas,
I was gonna. Okay, I was gonna say it
so it's
looks
like
really
a
thick.
three
Nice.
quarters of an inch thick.
Yeah, that's nice, man. That's cool. I like it. I have a map of Middle Earth I want to get framed that came with a book that I got once, but I have never done it. It's
I
folded up.
I got all those illustrated uh
Yeah, me too.
Lord of the Rings ones that came with those their extra maps and the
Yeah,
Hobbits, and I want to get those the maps and stuff that came in there framed, and I haven't
yeah.
yet.
I know. Same. Yeah, because those are really nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, those are cool. Cool additions. Yeah, I think I just had the Lord of the Rings one, but then I got the other two. I think on I don't know, some Amazon deals thing. They were like so cheap. It was like I can't not get them. I had to get all three. But yeah,
Right.
those are super nice. Now, you talked about how you were do graphic design and stuff. If you ever did like an illustrated edition of your book or something like that, do you do any of that kind of illustrating or just graphic design stuff?
I drew my map,
Oh, nice.
but then I paid someone else to draw it better.
But was it okay when you did it though?
I
You
mean,
just
it
wanted
looked
it better.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was, it's like on notebook paper. It got the job done.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. It let them know what you wanted them to do, right?
Right.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't. There will not be like hand drawn character illustrations or anything like that.
You're not gonna do that, huh?
I got some doodles of like this code that a group in the book used to write in. I got some
Okay,
doodles like that. That
that's
nothing
pretty
that's not
cool.
like artistically challenging.
Right. But hey, it's something.
Yeah,
Because that is,
better than nothing, I guess.
yeah, yeah. Because I mean, that is a very different, two very different creative art styles, right? Like graphic design versus drawing something on a piece of paper. It takes a totally different skill set, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean that's where I was. Yeah. So I got a degree in journalism from college, and then that kind of moved into what can you do with this in the real world? And
Hmm.
marketing was the like marketing PR, and then that marketing was like, oh well, you can't do this, so you got to do graphic design. Do you know how to do that? Yeah, all right, I know how to do that a little bit. So let's
Yeah,
just figure it out as we go. And then here we are, oh,
nice.
12 years later, 10 years
Still
later.
doing it. That's cool. Do you work from home or do you go into work somewhere?
Like a hybrid, like 2 days
Nice.
from home, three
Okay.
days at the office.
That's cool. That's very nice. And then remind me how old your kiddos are.
7, 5, and 2.
That's what I thought. I thought they're all pretty young still. So then when you work from home, is your wife gone or is she there to help with like the 2-year-old? Or do they have to go
Uh,
somewhere?
my wife's a special education teacher, so she's not
Nice.
here. Our my daughter will be gone at daycare when I work from home.
Nice. That's good because I'm sure that would be very difficult to get
It's
much done
impossible to work from home with a
if she
toddler.
was there. Yeah. Oh man. Well, and I always felt like they call it the terrible twos, but I always felt like 3 was even worse.
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah,
Because then they really their personality and their like desire to want to do everything on their own really starts coming out, but they really can't do everything on their own, and they've
right.
still got like no fear, and it's
Yep.
just a terrifying time. But we get through it for sure. John Douglas just came in. What's up, man?
Hey, John.
Everyone's problem in real life, never, man. Oh, we got a good crew in the chat. So I guess what else did I want to ask you about? Um, when you said earlier that it took you a long time to write the book and then you were doing some querying, how did that whole process go? And when did you decide, you know what, I'm just going to self-publish this bad boy?
That's a good question. I started seriously querying it um in like October 2023. I got everything together and sent it out to like 25 different people, or different agents,
Yeah.
and didn't really hear much back. Revamped the thing, the letter and synopsis, and sent it to like another 25 in November, and then I revamped it again and sent it to, I don't know, 50 more in
Oh, wow.
December. And I mean, Query Tracker is great. Like you could just click and, as long as you have the things and you're personalizing the stuff, I mean, you can send them out pretty fast. So
Oh, that's good.
I would do like 1 or 2 a day, like on my lunch
Okay.
break. And I got a few responses back. I never got a full request. And then, I was just feeling a little discouraged, and I received positive feedback from everybody who had read it, and I decided to, in February of 2024, to serialize it on Substack, just to get it out there, try and
Mhm.
build a little bit of um, a email database, trying to, maybe take this author thing seriously a little bit.
Yeah.
So I would edit each chapter and then serialize. I pushed out one a week for the first few months, and I started getting, more serious about it. And I did 2 chapters a week until about July. And then it was formatting and all that stuff, and decided to self-publish it just because it'd been out there. And,
Right.
like I said, had good feedback, and I
Mhm.
thought the story was worth telling. I was proud of how it came out. So yeah, I just didn't want it to sit in the pile. And
Right. Yeah. That's awesome, dude. I'm glad you did it because yeah, it's a great story so far what I've read, and I think it definitely needs to be out there because it's really good stuff. And I can tell that you really took your time with it and really focused on it because it feels very polished to me. Like it doesn't like the writing and everything doesn't feel like um it's surprising that it's like your first book. Like it's just very well written. So
I appreciate
um
that. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
No,
you
it
made
took, yeah, like I said, so one of my bigger problems is why it takes me so long. I'm trying, it's a hurdle I'm trying to overcome is I'll like my writing sessions, I would always start and I would edit everything that I wrote
Yeah.
before the day before
Mhm.
and then start. So I get like 200 words a session, but the chapter would be really clean when it was done.
Right.
It would just take a lot longer.
Oh
So now
yeah.
I've just been forcing myself to try and get that dirty first draft out for this stuff, right?
Right.
Like it's hard. Like
Oh yeah.
I see an issue
Right.
that and then like reading it a little bit will kind of get you back in the swing of it.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you're
Yeah.
still in the flow that you left it at, but
Right.
it definitely hampers productivity.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, and if you're prone to want to do that, if you try to go back and read just to remember where you're at, all of a sudden you're gonna be like, "Ooh, I should change that. Oh, I should change that.
Yeah, that's the
I
problem.
got to fix that." And then you go back a little more and a little more. Yeah, I can see how that could be a problem. Oh man, but it worked out good because it's great, man. Um, do you use like an editor that you or proofreader that you hire, or do you use your beta readers in your writing group? Like, how do you do that whole process?
Well, the beta readers point, I never had anybody go in with a line edit. It was just
Mhm.
myself. My line edit consisted of me just reading the book out aloud to myself.
Mhm.
But my beta readers, a couple of them were real good about pointing out some grammatical stuff that I might miss.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was just me, and then the proofreading was just reading it out loud and making sure everything sounded good.
Nice. I love it. We got avid book junkies in here. What's up, man? Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Um, so I guess what with the holidays coming up, your kids are going to be off for Christmas break, but then so will your wife be. So that's good.
Right.
She'll be home too. So hopefully, so when you have like a weekend or you have a break where your kids are off, because you'll still have to work. How do you have like a time you write every single day, no matter what, or do you having little kids? Do you kind of have to just go with the flow of the day and write whenever it ends up working out, or do you have like a set time that's always your writing time?
I mean, I should, right? That would make sense.
Nothing makes
No, I
in the thick of it though with little kids, man.
no. It's mostly just trying to find an hour,
Yep.
30 minutes here or there.
Yep.
I'm usually the first one up in the house, so I can get like an hour and a half or so to just myself, and I can knock out like a 25-minute sprint
Nice.
that way. And that's just kind of how I've been piecing it together for 5 years, is just finding like 25, 30-minute sprints whenever I can. Just kind of,
That's good.
lunch breaks,
Yeah.
weekends, early
Yeah.
mornings. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's how you got to do it when you have kids, when you have a family, when you have work. Like, I know some people do have like the same time every day, but I don't know. A lot of times when I talk to people that have the same time, it's either because they don't have kids yet, or their kids are all older and more self-sufficient, or they work from home and it's very like they have these things they have to do, but not like meetings and like specific time things. I feel like when you're in the thick of things, you just got to write whenever you can and just get something down every day whenever it works.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I was going for. Right.
Yep. Yep. That's good. Um, so you said you're hoping book 2 will be out next year, towards probably later in the year.
Definitely later in the year.
2025, right? You're saying?
Yeah. 2025.
Yeah. That's what I figured. That's pretty good then. Because when did you publish Tales and Treasure?
October
October. Yeah.
2024. October
Yep.
1st.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, I'd say that's pretty good. If you get it done, I mean, that'd be around a year. That's pretty solid. It'd be pretty
Yeah, I
impressive.
mean that's my goal for 2025, to get that one out and published. So we'll see. I mean, it's lofty. I mean, the first one took
Yeah.
me 4 years to write,
Right.
and the second one will be longer,
I was
with
gonna ask if it's gonna be longer.
more with a one additional POV.
Oh
So
wow, okay.
yeah, no, it'll be fun, but it'll definitely be a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. Now, so that I'm prepared, does book one end on a cliffhanger? So now,
Is
so
it-
that I'll know how long I have to wait.
It's not really a cliffhanger, but it leaves
Or
you
is you
wanting
wanting?
more.
Okay, nice. Now, do you do? I know a lot of writers, they have like the big overarching story going on, but then there's like kind of a small story within each book that wraps up, but it doesn't tie up all the big stuff as you go forward to each book. Is that kind of how you planned out your books so far?
Yeah, yeah, kind of. Yeah, so the the simple story for Tales and Treasure is the hunt for the lost crown.
Hmm.
And then there's overarching stories that reach into book 2 and book 3, and book 2 will have a different a different theme, and a different main focus, but everything will kind of be leading towards the end at book 3.
Sweet. That's awesome. Yeah, and I'm with Tim here. He says, "Give me all the cliffhangers until the final book. No cliffhanger in the final book."
I'll
That
try
does
not to.
happen. That does happen sometimes. Oh man. So I haven't read King Killer Chronicles. I have them all, and I want to read them. But since that's like one of your favorite things, like, are you super bummed that he hasn't finished that yet?
Well, I mean, that's just how all my favorite books are never going to get finished.
Uh,
Like The Gentleman Bastards. I
oh,
mean,
I
I
know.
love I don't know if that one get finished. I
Yeah.
mean, Game of Thrones, that's probably not
Yep.
going to get finished.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I
Those
mean,
are
King Killer
good.
Chronicles is probably my favorite out of that bunch. And it's I don't know, hopefully.
I know.
He says
Hopefully.
it's done. He's getting there.
Yeah. Um, I still want to read it because I've just always heard such great things about it. Do you
I
think
love
it's
it. It's very good.
yeah, you think it's still worth reading even though it's not done, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're a fantasy fan, yeah, I mean, I feel like in today's age, that's kind of like required
It
reading.
is. It is. I agree. So yeah, I gotta get that one soon. Have you read my mind just blanked. Oh, have you read any Malazan? I haven't read
No,
it.
that's one I haven't read, but I've been meaning to get to. I haven't got there yet.
Same, same. What about a couple of my favorite ones I've read are First Law and Red Rising and Sun Eater. Have you read any of those yet?
I love First Law. I read
Nice.
I read the first trilogy. I haven't
Okay,
got to the second one yet. And I
awesome.
read the 3 kind of
Oh,
standalones,
yeah,
like
the middle ones. Yeah,
the yeah, Best Served Cold and
yep. Nice.
yeah, the Heroes.
Yep. What was your favorite of those standalone ones?
I like Best Served Cold a lot. The Heroes took me a while to get through, for whatever. It was good. I
Yeah.
really, really like the concept of it being a battle that just kind of
Mhm.
took place, like one little battle took place over the whole book, and
Right.
just
Yep.
seeing it from so many different POVs. I
Yeah.
thought that was really cool.
Hmm.
I mean, he's one of my major influences. Like the way that he's built out all this stuff in his
Hmm.
world
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
really cool. And I love all of his characters. Logan
Yeah.
Nine Fingers is one of my favorite characters of
Uh,
all time.
Me too, man. I agree 100%. And I wondered because I was gonna say like there is like that nice little sprinkle of humor in your book. I wondered if you'd read some First Law.
Yeah,
So
no, I love First Law. It's good.
yeah.
One of my favorites.
Oh, it is. It's so good. Um, shoot, I was just thinking of something about First Law. Oh, I love in Heroes how he does that thing where it jumps from character to character, and then if one gets killed during the battle, it jumps to the person that killed them, and then
Yeah,
it keeps doing that. And it's crazy how in just a paragraph he can make you care so much about that person.
one person. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it
and it's
was
like it's wild.
yeah, it was
Oh,
good stuff.
it is. It is very good. Well, you definitely need to read Age of Madness because that's awesome. Like I
It's
love
on. It's
it.
in the TBR
Nice, good. The never-ending TBR, right?
right now. Wind and Truth got in there, and that's just
Oh,
massive.
nice.
So it's just like I don't know. We'll get there.
So are you caught up to Wind and Truth?
Yeah, I'm up to speed
Nice.
on this
Good for
stuff.
you.
Yeah.
I just finished Way of Kings, so I just started reading Sanderson like a couple years ago. I did Mistborn Era 1 and Elantris and Warbreaker and then Way of Kings. So now I'm starting Words of Radiance.
Yeah, I mean, the Stormlight Archives is good stuff.
Oh yeah,
It's yeah, I've been waiting for this one for a while. I mean, that's one I'm confident will get finished. Like his, I mean, what he
oh
says
yeah,
he's going to do like a 10-book arc, and I'm sure
yeah.
he'll be finished with that stuff. I did read Tress of the Emerald Sea this year,
Mm.
and that was fantastic.
I heard that was good. Did you ever read Princess Bride or watch the movie or anything?
I love the movie.
Yeah.
I've never read the book.
Yeah, me neither. I love the movie, but yeah, people said it kind of has that that vibe. Of
Yeah,
Princess Bride.
yeah, similar.
Just kind of role reversal because she's going to try to save the guy, right?
Right. Yep.
Yep. So yeah, I definitely want to check that one out eventually. Does that one have any spoilers for anything in Stormlight Archive, or is that kind of one you could read anytime?
No, like one of my favorite characters throughout this series is in it, like Wit.
Okay.
He's in the Way of Kings, and he kind of jumps around.
Yeah.
The what's he calls universe?
Oh, Cosmere.
Cosmere, yeah. He's in that one.
Okay.
But yeah.
So that's okay. So it does have a connection. That's cool.
There's connection, but it's
Nothing
not.
big.
It's a whole different magic. I don't know how he does it with the magic systems. It's a whole different thing.
It's wild.
So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of him, with that big Kickstarter stuff he did, I always like to ask authors, like, would you ever do a Kickstarter for anything? Have you ever thought about it?
Oh, I haven't really thought about it. I don't know. Maybe. I don't think so. I mean, further down the line, maybe. Right. I don't know. We'll see how things go. I wouldn't like rule it out, but
right. Yeah, like if you once you get all your trilogy out, and if it's going good, then maybe go back and do some kind of cool omnibus or something like.
Yeah, maybe like a box set or something when everything's done, something like that.
Get that that copy of your map in there that you drew.
My hand drawn one. Yeah, maybe is it in here somewhere? No, yeah.
Oh man, that's pretty good though. Like map. Like I tried to draw a map once. Like it did not go well at all.
That's what I used to do that all the time. That's where the fantasy writing kind of started. I would just kind of draw maps in my notebooks all the time.
Oh man, that's cool. You should.
I don't know how geographically accurate that they were. Like I don't know that the things worked with Earth rules.
It made sense, right?
They look cool.
Yeah, that's all that matters. When it's fantasy, you can make it wherever you want, right? It doesn't have to.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to make sense.
Right.
Oh, that's the beauty of it. Have you watched any shows like recently, like currently? I know you don't probably get a chance to often, but like any of the new shows that have come out recently, have you been watching anything?
No. I haven't. No, I haven't watched a new series in a while. No, most of the time it's just I've been taking my limited TV time I had has been watching more, just trying to watch more movies, and that's just to get the narrative all done in one.
Oh yeah,
in one go.
Right. What was the last?
Just kind of watch some. Well, I just finished reading No Country for Old Men, so I just watched that movie, and both the movie and the book were fantastic.
Nice.
So I just said that one last week.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So have you read some other Cormac McCarthy? Have you read like The Road?
The Road, yeah, it was one of my favorites.
Nice,
I read and the movie too. I mean, I love The Road.
The movie's so good. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I really like that. His writing style was interesting. Took me a little bit to get used to the no punctuation and sometimes
it does. It's a little jarring at first, but then you kind of get used to it, and it's just I mean, he's one of the best to ever do it. So,
did you read what's like the Western one? I have it and I can't think of what it's called. My mind's blinking. Blood Meridian. That's what it's called.
No, I've only read No Country for Old Men and The Road.
And the Road. Nice. Very cool. I just watched. Did you ever read comics or anything like that back in the day?
I didn't read comics back in the day. I went through a pretty heavy graphic novel phase for a while.
Nice. Okay.
But I didn't read. I mean, I watched all the Marvel stuff.
Oh,
But,
nice. Me too.
I didn't read any comics.
Okay. I just finished watching Penguin, and that was really good. But man, the very end of it was just is rough.
I heard good things about that show.
Oh yeah, it's so good. It's like it reminds me a lot of just like The Sopranos or something, like just a gangster show. Is really good, very very good. But yeah, the end will just rip your heart out. So be prepared when you watch it.
All right,
it's good. But it's very good. I really liked it. It's hard to believe. I just totally forgot most of the time that's Colin Farrell in just a suit. You know, I mean, he does so good with it. And the makeup and everything's so good, you forget it's even him. It's crazy. But yeah, that's a really good one. That's a good one. And I haven't watched a lot of the other ones, but like Apple TV has so many good shows out right now. It's crazy. I don't have Apple TV, so I can't watch them.
I don't have Apple TV either.
But they seem to be getting a lot of the fantasy sci-fi stuff. Did you watch Rings of Power?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. How'd you feel about that one?
It looked nice.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous, right?
It looked really cool. I was I don't know. There's some stuff that's okay. Most of the stuff I really didn't care for.
Yeah,
they forced Tom Bombadil in there for some reason, and that was just like, yeah, it didn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the Sauron stuff was a little bit better this year. I mean, his relationship with Celebrimbor was probably the best part of the show. Just watching him kind of manipulate him was cool. I mean, it was well done for the most part, but there's just so many problems with that show.
Oh yeah, I know.
They had all the money and talent. It just I don't know.
I know. Such a bummer. I know. Because yeah, it looks great. If they could have just made it a little better, it would have been nice. You read Wheel of Time too, so did you watch the Wheel of Time show?
I watched the first season. I've only read the first 3 books of the Wheel of Time.
Oh, nice.
I only read the first, which I heard is not great. I heard the fourth one's the best one, and I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Oh, nice. So you're almost there.
But yeah, I haven't watched the second season. I heard the second season got better.
I heard it gets better. Yeah, that's what I heard too. Because yeah, I didn't like the first season very much, but I mean, I never hate anything. Like I can find enjoyment in everything, but yeah, it was kind of disappointing. But I did hear that it gets better and better, so that's good, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like I've forced myself to sit. I mean, through Rings of Power, it's just
Me
like
too.
I hate watching it for a little bit. I mean, just
right. Know. Just because when you love something, you gotta watch it. You gotta see it through. Just give it a chance till the end, right?
Right.
Just noticed Josh from Already Overbooked came in. Oh, wait, here we go. There it is. Thanks for being in here, man. We appreciate it. So yeah. Oh man, it is already 9:00. That went by pretty quick, dude.
It did, yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's even been an hour.
No. Time flies.
It does. Now, where are you at in the country? Are you an hour behind or hour ahead? I feel like we're not in the same time zone, are we?
I'm an hour behind. I'm in north of Chicago.
That's right, Illinois. Chicago. That's what I thought. Yep. So then, so it's 9:00 for me. Then it's 8:00 for you.
Yep. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So what time is your kid's bedtime?
Right now.
Yeah.
Hang out for a little bit down here. So maybe they'll be asleep by the time I go upstairs.
Right. Take your time just in case. Walk real slow up the steps.
Yeah.
Yep, I know. Same here. My kids are a little older. My 7-year-old, she's in bed. My wife put her to bed, but my older kids, I got to make sure they get in bed or they'll stay up all night.
Yeah.
They'll just be in their bed, but they'll just be awake, trying to get on their phones and stuff.
Yep.
That's all coming for you eventually. Enjoy the not having to worry about phones right now,
I will.
as long as possible. Oh man. Well, I have not put it in the description yet, but I'll put the link to your book so that if anybody wants to check it out that's in the chat or on replay can go buy Rob's book, because I have it and it's a beautiful book inside and out, and it is a fun read. So I definitely recommend it. So thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again, especially when book 2 comes out. We'll have to have you on to talk about book 2.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Thank you to everybody in the chat. You guys were awesome. Appreciate you being here. And yeah, we'll wrap it up there. So everybody have a great night. Thanks for being here. And until we see you in the next one, as I always say, devour your TBRs, be brave, be beautiful to one another, and be beastly. We'll see you guys. Have a good night.
See ya.
Take care.